All right, good. Welcome. All right, what's going on? All right, we're good to go. Good. Awesome. So happy that you are here. Welcome, everybody. I see folks coming in on Zoom. I see folks here on Instagram. It's about to go down. I need everybody to go get their Bible and get a pen and paper. Go get their Bible, go get a pen and paper, get ready to take notes because we're about to go in. Okay. This is not your traditional Sunday service. Go get some water because we're about to talk about water today and the flood. What does the flood really mean? Is it a true story or is it an allegory? All right, is it a true story or is it an allegory? We're going to break that down. And it's all right there in front of our face in plain sight. It's all right there. But you got to let those who have ears hear and let those with eyes see. And, for the literalists out there, you have to really ask yourself, did Noah and his 3 sons literally cut down trees, carve them out, right? Drag them to wherever location, right? Build a football size ark, and then gather all animals, at least 2 of each, from all parts of the world, or somehow do the animals migrate to this one location, all 1 million plus species fit onto this boat or this ark, and then survive for 150 plus days. Just sit with that for a second. Now, with God, I do believe that all things are possible, but that does not make sense in our current reality. Oh, well, Julian, that was a long time ago. More miracles happened then. Why would more miracles happen then? Isn't God the same always? Why would more miracles happen then than now? All right. So these are some of the real hard questions that we have to ask ourselves. And we know that Jesus said that his own disciples did not understand these parables, these metaphors, these allegories. Jesus only spoke in parables. And so if we know if we believe that that is true from a New Testament perspective, then what do you think about the Old Testament? What do you think could be possible about the Old Testament? There's a lot of wild stories that if you're a literalist, you have to accept as true in the Old Testament. You would have to accept as true that somebody was in the belly of a whale for quite some time and came out alive. You'd have to accept the reality that an entire sea was parted and that people walked through that sea, right? You'd have to accept that a woman was born of a man's rib, right? And when you just think about these with your level of consciousness today, these things really don't make sense and they sound like fairy tales, but there's nothing wrong with the fairy tale if we can find the truth of what it actually means, right? How it can be applied to our lives. And so that's what we're going to explore today. And we're going to do that in the context of Noah's Ark. We've already been through Genesis 1 through 4. So we've already did Adam and Eve, right? We've already done Cain and Abel and broke down that story. And for those of you who missed that, Cain and Abel was really, really powerful. With Cain and Abel, we understand that that was an allegory that was to describe our transition from hunter and gatherer to farmer, or the inner turmoil that we would have going from between the hunter and gatherer and us and the farmer, right? Abel being the hunter and gatherer and Cain being the farmer. And when you're a hunter and gatherer, just like every other animal on the face of this planet, you are dealing with total reliance on source or God to provide for you, right? When you are a hunter and gatherer, you are just trusting that food, water will be provided for you any given day. Similar to the Israelites in the desert having to trust that the manna was going to come every single day, right? And we're not supposed to take any more than they needed. But when you transition over into farming, now you want your food source to be predictable. Now you want to have strawberries in the middle of the winter. You want to have mangoes in the middle of the winter. You want to have pineapples in regions and places that pineapples do not grow, right? And so you go from this total reliance on God for the needs of the flesh or the body to trying to be predictable and literally squeeze God out of the equation. And so what we came to with that story is that we do not want the can in us or the Cain in us to kill the Abel in us. And what we can do, or what we can do, right, is limited by this physical body temple, right? There are limitations to this physical body that our spirit does not have. And what we're able to do when we are in alignment with God, right, we are able to do so much more. But sometimes we allow our logic to kill a logical mind to kill what we actually love to do. And so that's what we uncovered from the Cain and Abel story. Okay. And so now we're going to go into Adam and Eve, and we're going to go into Noah's Ark. And so I need everybody to go get a Bible if you have one, King James Version. We use that version not for any particular reason, except that many people have it. It's the most common version out there. And so we use that, and we start with that just so that we can all be reading the same thing and on the same page. But there are other amazing tools and versions out there. There's no such thing as the Bible. There's no such thing as the Bible. There is such thing as a Bible. We all have a Bible. Perhaps the Pope is the only one who has the Bible, like the true, authentic first version. After that, this book has been manipulated, adulterated, translated, and in many cases to hide its meaning, right? To hide its true meaning. And so we believe as truth seekers that we can still uncover the truth, because the truth was so deep that even when words are changed and intentionally and things of that nature, that we can still see the truth in the story. So this is not for the faint at heart. This is not for the dogmatic religious person. This is for people who are actually seeking the truth. It says, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you, and the truth shall set you free. And what has been taught in our traditional churches is I don't know if it's getting us to the truth. It may feel good, it may sound good, but I don't know if it's actually getting us to the truth. So here we have a process for how we decode, and I'll walk you through that in a second. But the first step of that process is actually starting off in prayer, right? To connecting with God. So I have the Truth Seekers Prayer here, and I'm going to bring that up. Give me a second. I'm going to bring that up again. If you're on social media, you want to go to jointruthseekers.com, and you want to go to jointruthseekers.com, and that will give you the Zoom link so that you can see my screen. On my screen, you'll see my notes. You'll see the slides that I'm drawing from, and I think you'll have a richer learning experience if you join us over there. All right, but it's okay if you choose to stay on social media and watch us there. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen here on Zoom. Give me 1 second so that you can all see the Truth Seekers Prayer. Share. Boom. All right, we are good to go. Okay, we are good to go. So for those of you on social media, you'll be able to see the screen of my tablet. You'll be able to see the screen of my tablet when you join us on Zoom. This is the Truth Seekers Prayer, and that's what I'm going to be reading from right here and right now. All right. We are truth seekers. We seek the whole truth and nothing but the truth. We know that the truth shall set us free. We believe that when we ask, that's John 8:32. We believe that when we ask, it shall be given to us. When we seek, we shall find. And when we knock, the door shall be opened unto us. Matthew 7:7. We know that as we sit in the temple of our minds, listening for your voice and asking questions in that holy place, we shall find understanding and answers. Luke 2:46-47. For there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. Luke 12:2. We know that because the Bible is heavily coded in allegories, Galatians 4:24, similes, Luke 13:18, and parables, Matthew 13:34, many who think they are seeing, see not, and hearing, they hear not. Neither do they understand, including those who call themselves your disciples. Matthew 13:13. We know not to rely on the letter, but the spirit of the word, for the letter killeth, but the spirit giveth life. 2 Corinthians 3:6. We are meant to study to show thyself approved unto God, rightly dividing the word of truth. 2 Timothy 2:15. Wash our feet, which represents our understanding, so that we may build our church or temple, which is our individual belief system, upon a rock of truth, that we are the sons and daughters of God. Matthew 16:16. May we feel free to renew our minds. Romans 12:2. By destroying and rebuilding our temple over and over and get better and better, leaving no stone standing. Matthew 24:2. We know that when we pray, we shall enter into the closet of our mind, shut the door, and pray to God, which is in secret. Matthew 6:6. And we also know that where 2 or 3 are gathered together in your name, I am is in the midst of them. Matthew 18:20. We pray this metaphysical Bible study blesses, builds, and brings all children of God closer to you, whether inside or outside of a religious context, even if that means wrestling with our concept of you for our blessing, like Jacob in Genesis 32. We love you and thank you with all of our hearts, minds, and souls. Matthew 22:37. Ashe, amen, and so it is. All right. So that is the True Seeker's Prayer. That is what we pull from. That is what we pull from in order to start us off. And actually, I want to walk you through our step-by-step process for how we decode the Bible. Walk you through our step-by-step process in terms of how we decode the Bible. This Bible study is different. The purpose is not to get you to believe what I believe, okay? I'm not trying to convince you. I'm not trying to convert you. What I'm facilitating, I'm initiating a space for you to go within and to uncover what you see and test what is actually not even what you see, but what is revealed to you by your creator, your source, however you call that, whatever you define that as, okay? For too long, we have outsourced our spirituality to ministers and priests and other institutions, all right? And so in this space, that is not what we engage in. I'm not your priest. I'm not your minister, okay? I do go into this text daily and I study it for myself. And I just happen to decide to bring you all on the journey with me, right? But it is not about getting you to see what I see. It's about you having your own revelation in terms of what this story means for you, right? You should outsource almost everything in your life that is not important to you. Your gardener, your house cleaning, your dental work, right? You should outsource anything that is not meaningful to you. But the one thing that you should never outsource is your spirituality. The one thing that you should never outsource in life is your spirituality. And so this is not a space for passive entertainment like church has typically become in most churches, okay? I do not want you to just sit here and wait for me to do my decoding and you receive that. No, that is how we have connected with Source for too long. Instead, this is active learning. You must be engaged. And in fact, before you come here at 3 p.m. next Sunday, you should read the chapter or story 3 times for yourself and decode it for yourself in advance. You should come here prepared with questions, with insights that you now get to bring to the conversation, not just showing up and, oh, I'm here. All right, I'm here. Spoon feed me. No, that is what babies do. Babies wait to get fed. Babies wait to get fed, okay? True seekers, true hunters and gatherers, we actually go find our food, okay? We go seek for ourselves. My spiritual hunger is deep. And so I don't wait passively for somebody else to break down this text and then bring me their cliff notes. I go seek the truth for myself. And so I'm taking you on that journey. And as I said before, and I will continue to say this, if I continue to show up in this space, but you do not, I will move forward with my Bible study on my own. If I continue to show up in this space and you do not, meaning that you have done no work between Sunday and Sunday, no spiritual work, I will just proceed with going and doing my Bible study like I was doing for years by myself in the closet of my own mind. Something called me to bring this space publicly. to share it with those who had ears to hear. And so that is why we are here. And so I do not want you to get into the habit that you've had with religion for the past however many years that you've been engaged in that, for many of us since the day we were born, and come to this space passively, waiting to receive the cliff notes of somebody else who was actually doing the work. That is not how you will reach your highest height, because you will always be dependent on that middleman or middlewoman to feed you. I'm trying to teach you how to fish. That is what Jesus did. I will make you fishermen of men. Okay, I'm trying to teach you how to fish for yourself. All right. And so I'm so happy that you were here. Not everybody was able to receive the call or hear the message, and that is okay. I don't expect everybody to be ready. Okay. And so all I care about is who is here, not who is not here. All right. So how do we crack the code? How do we crack the code? How to crack the Bible code? We have an acronym for crack, which is CRACK, right? CRACK. So the first C is connect with God. Enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to the Father which is in secret. So that is what we did with the Truth Seekers prayer, okay? Then we read the text with new eyes, right? That's the R. We read the text. We release old programming, perspectives, and literal interpretations of the text to see if we can find the deeper meaning beyond the surface layer. Then the A is ask for under, inner, and overstanding from God, not from Julian, but from God. Ask and ye shall receive, seek and ye will find, right? Then 4, this next C is we code. We code the names, the words, the nouns, the numbers, etc., using meditation, divine downloads, the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, concordances, etc. And then the K is knock, right? We knock and the door, which is the secret, the parable, the metaphor, the allegory, shall be open, all right? So this is how we crack the code, family. This is how we crack the code, all right? So we've been doing this for over a month now. It has been a blessing. We've gone through Genesis 1 through 4. This week's homework was to decode Genesis 5 and 6. 5 was actually optional because it is more of a lineage, but there is actually some gems in chapter 5 that I'm going to cover really quickly before we get into chapter 6. And in the future, we will be maybe not doing full chapters, but just stories, because some stories don't take up full chapters, right? So, but right now, Genesis is so rich in allegoric language and metaphors, and we're just doing it chapter by chapter. Once we get to around there are some chapters in there in the teens that are more lineage based and things of that nature that don't have as much depth. And I will continue to share with you the stories that we will decode. And if you have stories that you're interested in decoding, please let me know. If you have stories that you're interested in decoding, okay, please let me know. And it's definitely something we can consider. All right. Now, who's ready? Who's ready? Who's ready? Who actually did their homework? Who read Genesis 6 at least 3 times before showing up today? Who read Genesis 6 at least 3 times before showing up today? If you're a first timer, that is okay. If you're a first timer, that is okay. All right. But just know that next week, you must come to this space prepared. This is not passive religion. This is active spirituality. This is not passive religion. This is active spirituality. It's a practice. You don't have to practice to show up to church and just to check off a box. No, that's not what we're doing here. Oh yeah, I went to church today. Okay. How did you deepen your relationship with your source, your creator, your God? Showing up to school does not mean that you've learned anything. Okay. Showing up at your house every day don't mean that you're invested in your relationship. Okay. There's things that you have to actively do to elevate whatever it is that you say you care about with your lips. All right. So let's get into it. Again, if you're joining us on social media, go to jointruthseekers.com, plural. It should be pinned at the top. That will get you the Zoom link so that you can see my screen. And with that, we are about to go into meditation so that you can be fully present. And then we will go into Genesis chapter 5 and 6. All right. So with that, we're just going to meditate for about 5 breaths. Okay. Forget time. Time is man-made. We're going to go in for 5 breaths. The reason the breath is so important is because the breath is the only thing that you cannot control. Okay. The only way that you can stop your breath is through suicide. Right. So if that's the only way that you can stop your breath, then there must be something breathing through us. That something, I believe, is our creator, right? Is God. And as long as you are breathing, that means that there's still work for you to do on this earth. And so in order to connect, the easiest way to connect with the creator is simply to connect with your breath, right? And so here, I'm very particular with my language. So what we do is we don't inhale and exhale. We in heaven, we take heaven in, and then we exhale, we release any negativity. In this case, it would be carbon monoxide. Okay, so we take in oxygen and we release carbon monoxide. All right, so with that, we're just going to do that for 5 breaths, and then we will get into the scripture. So we're going to in heaven for 5 seconds, hold for 1, and then release for 4. Okay, in heaven, hold, release. In heaven, fill your stomach, hold, release. Three more. In heaven, hold, release. In heaven, hold, release. In heaven, hold, release. Dear Mother, Father God, use me in this moment in time to guide and to lead, but not just to lead as if I'm the leader, but to create leaders out of those who are here so that they may self-direct their own lives with you being in the driver's seat. Everybody who is here is a truth seeker. They have gone beyond the dogma, beyond just the showing up to church, and they want to know you and understand you and how this universe that we live in, that you created for us, works, so that we can actually do our work, which is to bring heaven, our mental experience of life, onto earth, which is our physical and material experience of life. I bless and thank everyone who is here for showing up, not for me, but for you and for themselves, so that they can have a higher understanding of their divine nature as little gods, lowercase g's, here on earth. May the truth be revealed to us today. May we have aha moments and breakthroughs that help us understand not only ourselves, you, but ourselves and the rest of this text as a mental manual, an instruction book on how to use our minds and live as righteously and as divinely as possible here in this experience we call life. I'm so grateful to be given this calling, and so grateful for each and every soul that is here at this moment. Shay, amen. And so it is. All right. So Genesis 5 was optional. So today we are breaking down Noah's Ark. We're decoding Noah's Ark. And there's so much richness in this particular story. You can see my notes on the screen on Zoom. For those of you on social media, these are my notes. You'll be able to follow along if you join us on Zoom. That's where I can share my screen with you. But before we get to Genesis 6, I want to start with Genesis 5. That was optional because there was a lot of lineage. I want to ask how many of you actually went and researched the meaning of every name of Seth's sons? How many of you went and researched the names of Seth's sons? Good, good. So you're starting to do the work. Every name, every place has a meaning. And so we go to Google and we say, what is the Hebrew meaning of the name Seth? What is the Hebrew meaning of the word Canaan or the name Canaan? What is the Hebrew meaning of Enoch or Enos? What is the Hebrew meaning of Eden, right? This is the extra work that the text alone does not do for us that we have to do for ourselves. And so I should have probably had you do chapter 5. I should have made it homework. I should not have made it optional, so that you now get in the practice of looking at the meanings of these names, right? And so what I want to share with you that I found in chapter 5 is some really important things. The first thing is Genesis chapter 5, verse 2, okay? Genesis chapter 5, verse 2. I've highlighted it here. It says, male and female created he them and blessed them and called their name Adam in the day when they were created. Do you hear this? So we conceive based on Genesis 2 that Adam and Eve are two separate entities. But here it is saying that Adam, right, is one entity with male or masculine and female properties. Male and female properties. And we have also explored the possibility that the name Adam correlates to the biological atom, right? So that verse 5:2 is really significant. And it may be hard to reconcile with the actual narrative in chapter 2, all right? Now, the other thing that I notice here is that there is no mention of Eve after this. After Eve begets Seth, there's no mention of her or that thing afterwards. So that's interesting. That's very interesting, all right? And then let's go through the meanings of the names, all right? So after Abel is killed by Cain in the allegory, in the story, she begets another son named Seth. So this is Adam's third son, okay? So Seth, we found out last week, means to set or place firm, appointed, or foundation, okay? So how could that apply, all right? Then from there, Seth gives birth to Enos. Enos means mortal man. Enos means mortal man. Then Enos goes on to Mahalalel, the shining name of El, or praise of God, okay? Then Jared, which is descent or going down. Mahalalel gives birth to Jared. And then Enoch, we know, means to inaugurate, train, or dedicated. And this is the second Enoch already. Cain already had an Enoch. Now Seth also has an Enoch. So that's interesting, right? Then Enoch gives birth to Methuselah, which means when he is dead, it shall be sent or let go. It also means man of javelin, all right? Then we go into Lamech, and Lamech means strong man or for humiliation to or towards lowliness. And then the biggest one and the most important one for our reading today is Noah. What does Noah mean? What does Noah mean, family? Noah means rest. The main character in this particular story's name means rest. So we know in advance that rest is going to have major significance in this particular story. Now, when you're writing The Matrix, the movie The Matrix, Do you just name the main character anything? If you were writing the movie The Matrix, would you just name the main character anything? No. You would name them according to their role and their development in the actual movie. So the fact that Noah's name means rest and the story that then follows tells us this story of rest likely means that this is a story. Did y'all catch that? The fact that the main character's name means rest, and the story then goes on to tell us a narrative about rest, means that this is likely more so a story than it is history. And we see that over and over and over again in the Bible. All right? So with that, I want to go back really quickly because I saw some things very significant. Here's the lineage that I broke down at the bottom. You'll see Adam and Eve first, then Abel. Abel got X'd out, then Cain, then Seth. You see Cain led to Enoch, which led to Erad, which led to I don't know how to pronounce that, Mehahuel, then another Methusiel, and then Lamech, and then to Juba, Tuba Cain, and then Naamah. All right, Naamah is the first daughter that is documented as being born. And then you see Seth's lineage there. What I noticed about Seth's lineage is that it seemed to go from a positive meaning to a negative meaning to a negative offspring to a positive offspring to a negative to a positive to a negative. When I looked at the meanings of those names, it went positive, negative, positive, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, positive. So I just found that was interesting. Now, we said that Adam, right, might actually be a personification or allegory for the actual biological Adam, correct? That's what we came to in Genesis 2. Well, if you look at this really quickly, look at this, family. How many electrons can each level hold? Watch this. Each level of an electron, the first level of electron can hold the nucleus, then the first level is 2, then the second level is 8, then the third level is 18, and the fourth level is 32. Okay, I'm just showing you where my mind went. All right. Now watch this. And I'm not saying that this is right, this is true or fact, but I'm just letting you know how I research, right? And how you can actually try to bring these concepts together. So watch this. If the nucleus is Adam and Eve, right, as one in Genesis 5:2, watch this. First level is Cain and Abel, right? First level on an atom is 2. But then, of course, we know that Cain killed Abel and got replaced with Seth. So now we still have 2 on the first level. Watch this. Second level, right? Enosh, Canaan, Mahalalel, Jared, Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, and Noah. That's 8 right there. Second level, 8. Third level, Shem had 5, Ham had 4, Japheth had 7. That's 16. So it's not quite 18, but it's 16. So it did not come out exact, but for me, there's something here. That the orbitals of, or the shells of an atom or electron are mimicking or mimicked by the story and the number of characters in each generation preceding Adam. Y'all catch that? I don't know. I think there's something there. All right. So I'm just letting you know how my mind works and how I think about these things. And so then I went and grabbed this biblical family tree, right? This biblical family tree, so that I have it in my notes and I can reference it because there may be answers there. All right. So now let's get into Genesis chapter 6 We're going to go line by line. Now, who are the key persons? So this is what we do first. We actually map this out. We map this out. So this story is about, if you had to put what this story is about in one word, what would you say this story is about? In one word, what would you say this story is about? Okay, based on reading it 3 times. Okay, we have rest, somebody said life, renewal, structure, good, structure, reset, rebirth, obedience, good. Look at all these different angles which to look at this story. Salvation, okay, balance, good, cleansing, good. Okay, good. All right, now who are the key persons in this story? Who are the key persons in this story? And then, of course, we need to know what their names mean. We have Noah, Seth, Enoch, Shem, and Shem, his son, and Japheth. We have the Lord, all capital, and we also have God. We have 2 different entities. We have the Lord and God, right? We have Noah's wife. We have wife. We also have his son's wives. Okay? And then we have animals. And we have 3 types of animals. What are the 3 types of animals? See, these are subtle distinctions that are important. We have fowls, which are above, birds, fowls and birds, which are above, which we explored might be superconscious thoughts, right? Most godly, higher thoughts. Then we have the beast of the field, right? And then we have the creepy, crawly things. Call them the creepers, all right? So what we explored earlier in the earlier chapters, that fowls, the higher thoughts, may be the superconscious, right? Then we have the conscious thoughts, which are surface level, right? Those are be the beast. And then we have the unconscious thoughts, which are or unconscious or subconscious thoughts, which are the creepers. All right. So then places. Are there any particular places in this particular story? Any places? Any names of places? Okay, we do have an ark. Okay. Face of the earth, good. What does that mean? Why does that keep coming up? Face of the earth. What does that mean? Right? All right, cool. And then any things, any nouns or words that you felt were significant that we need to be aware of. Obviously, ark is there. Any nouns or words? We have giants in this story. Somebody caught it. Sons of God, plural. Wait a second. Daughters of men. Good. Now we actually should have put those people under persons. All right. Cool. Now, what questions came up for you in this story? And here it is okay to question. At church, it's not okay to question. Okay. Lean not on thy own understanding. No, we're trying to understand. We're seeking truth. We're not leaning on our own understanding. We're going to source, right? So what are some of the biggest questions that came up for you? Who are the sons of God? Who are the sons of God? Okay. Right? The difference, what's the difference between Lord and God? Difference between Lord and God. Good. How all these animals fit on an ark. How all the animals fit on an ark. Okay, good. Why gopher wood? Why gopher wood? All right. What is perfect? Perfect in his generation mean? Perfect in his generation. Noah was perfect in his generation. What does that mean? Okay, good. Who were these giants? Who were these giants? Who or what were these giants? Okay. What does it mean that Noah walked with God? What does that mean? Because if I'm resting, I ain't walking nowhere. Why did God choose Noah? Choose Noah. Did God mess up? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Did God mess up? Okay, good. What does the flood, ark, and animals represent? All right. A cubit is 1.5 feet. That's Googleable. That's Googleable. Okay. Y'all with me? All right. Why did God stop life at 120, at 120 years? And what's crazy about that is if you understand everything, more people kept living past 120 years. So, all right. Cool. All right, good. Those are good. Those are good. So let's get into them. Let's get into them. Right. So we're going to Genesis 6 now. We're going into Genesis 6. All right. So welcome anybody who's joining us on social media right now. You can go to jointruthseekers.com. If you want to join us on Zoom, here's where you'll be able to see my notes and join us here in this conversation, as well as be informed about future metaphysical Bible studies. We're here every Sunday at 3 p.m. Decoding different stories in the Bible. Right now, we're going through Genesis. We've already been through chapters 1 through 5, and today we are reading chapter 6. Okay, so for me, I want to let you know the lens through which I'm looking at this story. Noah's Ark is the story of, y'all ready for it? Meditation. It's the story of meditation. It is a story of premeditated, not murder, but premeditated life. I believe that this story is a story of premeditated new life. It is the process that we must go through when we want to step into a brand new life. All right? Just hold that. Hold that thought. All right? Hold that thought. All right? So, chapter 6, verse 1. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them. Okay? So, we have known that men typically thus far represent thought, and women represent what? From an allegory standpoint, when we're decoding, you may take this story literally, that's fine. But if we're looking for the allegory, men represent thoughts, women represent emotions. When those two things come together, they create what? They create what? Sons and daughters. They create manifestations, also known as sons and daughters. Okay? Now, so the men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and the daughters were born unto them. Verse 2, that the sons of God, hold up, wait, hold up. You hear what it says? It said the sons of God, plural. Did anybody catch that? The sons of God. Wait a second. Religion has told you that there's only how many sons of God? Religion told you that there was how many sons of God? Religion told you that there was only one son of God. But here, right here in the text, it says the sons of God. Right here. Who's never saw that before? Type never if you never saw that before. Type never if you never saw that before, or you never heard that before. I mean, I didn't make up this Bible. This is literally what it said. Okay? See, they don't teach this on Sundays. They can't share certain scriptures with you because it'll start to unlock things for you. What you mean, sons of God? Plural? Yeah, it says sons of God with an S on it. Sons. All right? So, but religion has told you that there's only one son of God. Even Jesus told you that there are more than one son of God. He said, ye are gods. John 10:34. Who said, whoever does the will of the Father is my brother and my sister and my mother. So if Jesus was the Son of God and we're brothers and sisters, then that would make us what? Sons and daughters of God. But for some reason, religion has bashed into people's heads. There's only one Son of God. There's only one Son of God, and everybody else is just sinners. Right here in Genesis, it said that the sons of God, okay, saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. Okay. So for me, what this means is that the sons of God, the spiritual, started to intercourse with the carnal. This is where our spirit is coming into carnal form. We're starting to have intercourse. The spirit is now trying to combine with the carnal. Okay. And yeah, we're not talking about incest. This is the spiritual and the carnal coming into one. Have you ever asked yourself, we're going to get to this, but I'm going to just drop this on you right now. Why was Jesus born in a manger? Why was Jesus born in a manger? A manger is where who was born? A manger is where who was born? Animals. So the story of Jesus is actually symbolic of our spiritual self coming into this animalistic flesh that we have. It is our spiritual self, our pure spiritual self coming into our animalistic form. Why else would he be born in a manger? Why else would he be born where animals are born? The struggle has been our spirit intercoursing with the carnal flesh, animalistic side of this material experience. There's no other reason he would be born in a manger. You think they just chose that randomly? You think they just happened to choose manger? No. If you see it from an allegorical perspective, it's because he's being born into his animalistic self, that spiritual consciousness. Because listen to me, you are not your body. You say my car, you say my house, you say my body. So that means that something is possessing the body. Who is that something? Who is the something that possesses the body? It is the true you. It is your spiritual self. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. These are our suits that allow us to access the five senses that allow us to experience this material world. This material world is not reality. It is what we perceive as reality, but it's not. I was just watching a meme or just a quick video on Instagram the other day. And you know, where people got those virtual reality glasses on and they're in their living room and they punch through the TV, or they are walking on some tightrope and they fall off into the furniture. They think that what's happening here is reality, and it's not. It's not. Those are the virtual reality glasses. Okay? So you are a spiritual being. And the struggle that all of this is depicting is the struggle of our spiritual selves integrating with the material self, and the struggle of that interweaving. In many cases, the spirit and the flesh are like oil and water. Okay? So here we have the sons of God, meaning they come from God on high, not God is in the sky, but just on high, trying to intercourse with the daughters of men. Okay? So divine thought is trying to intercourse with the emotional man. And man is only emotional because of the biological self. Because emotions are biological, family. That's why they're called emotions. These are electromagnetic motions in our body. Somebody comes around, I've been held up at gunpoint before when I was 18, and seeing that triggers emotions in my body. Hormones, all those things get triggered in my body when this experience happens. Emotions are physical in nature. They are electromagnetic motions. And so the spirit is trying to integrate with that. Okay? So now moving forward. Y'all with me? I hope I didn't lose y'all. Hold on, we only on verse 2, family. Y'all with me? Y'all with me? All right, let's keep it going. So the sons and that they were fair, okay? That they were fair. So why the word fair, right? When on the surface level, we look at fair as beauty, right? But what is fair? Here's what's fair, family. The emotion must match the thought. The emotion must match the thought. The law is fair. The law or the Lord is fair. The emotion must match the thought. Thoughts generate emotions, and emotions generate thoughts, and they must match. It is a fair game that we are playing. You cannot access thoughts of wealth when you have a poverty consciousness. From a low emotional state, you cannot access joy. You cannot access joyous thoughts. It is fair. You are going to find your match. This is why I actually believe there's a match for everyone in this world. You may not be married right now. You may not be dating right now. But guess what? I believe that there's a vibrational match for everyone in this world. It's law. It's fair. You may be like, I would never date that person. I would never marry that person. I would never consider that person. But guess what? There is a frequency match for that individual somewhere in the world. You may think they're to this, you may think they're to that, but guess what? There's somebody who needs that and they match up. That could be a trauma bond, right? Or there's somebody who is also operating at that same frequency and they match. You can't see yourself matching with them, right? But there is a match for them. We get so concerned based on the flesh on visual matches, but the most important type of match to have is a vibrational match. This is where dating goes wrong. When you are focused on a visual match and you do not have a vibrational match. So the emotion is going to match the thought. It is fair. Okay? So divine thought, sons of God, plus emotions or daughters of man. Okay? You choose the vibration or the emotion that matches the thought. 3, and the Lord says, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for he also is flesh, yet his day shall be 120. Okay, so we see the number 12 there, right? We see the number 12 there, and typically when a 0 is added, it's used as emphasis. But we know that we could do a number study on 12. Where else does 12 come up in the Bible? Number of disciples, Joseph's brother, right? Number 12 comes up often. So this number has significance. Does it actually mean 120 years? I don't know. Okay. But this number has significance. Now, this word flesh, I've actually broken it down for you. This is what I think flesh means, family. Flesh is not a negative thing. I'm grateful for my body. Religion has taught you to demonize your body, to hate your own body. This is why there's so many health problems in the church, because you've been taught to demonize and go against your body. Yet they're going to have fried chicken at the picnic, though. Religion will convince you that death is better than life, that it gets better after you die. No, heaven is here, family. Heaven is a mental state. It is here and now. The kingdom of heaven is in your midst. It is within. But religion will have you convinced that things get better after you die. It has taught you to demonize the body and the flesh, which is just your vehicle. All it is just your vehicle, and you have to subdue it. You have to control it. And that's what we have not learned. And so when it comes to the five senses, right? When you see the word flesh, I want you to think of the five senses. I want you to think of the five senses. So here's an acronym: feel, which is touch; look, which is to see; eat, which is taste; smell, and then hear. This is the flesh. This is the flesh. We are at war with what we see. Some of us are limited by our five senses. But those of us who are not limited by the five senses can see beyond them. So just because I was born into poverty doesn't mean that I am poor. But if I only use my five senses and look around my neighborhood, look around my apartment, I see roaches, this and that, then my five senses are reflecting back to me that I am poor and confirming that. But it's not until a little boy or a little girl realizes that they are not their body and that they are not their five senses, that they can see beyond the flesh, which is limited, that they can then find their way out through imagination, through the creator that's in them, beyond their condition or material circumstances. This is the only reason the flesh, this is the only thing we have to be aware of when it comes to the flesh. There's nothing wrong with the flesh. Without the flesh, we cannot have this earthly experience. Without the flesh, we cannot have this earthly experience. Okay? But religion will have you demonize the flesh. Right? So, moving forward. In verse 4, there were giants in the earth in those days. And so what are these giants? What do these giants represent? And also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, they bare children to them. The same became mighty, which were of old men of renown. Okay, so mighty thoughts produce mighty things. Mighty thoughts produce mighty things. Okay, the thought must plant its seed in the womb of the right emotional state in order to manifest. Okay, thoughts, right, which is the masculine or the men, must plant its seed in the womb of the right emotional state in order to manifest. And when you have a mighty thought, it produces something mighty. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. I cannot plant a corn seed and yield asparagus. I cannot plant asparagus and yield corn. Okay, it must match. Okay, so we know that Noah means soul, means rest. I put in parentheses here, Noah means soul at rest. Okay, anytime we see activity, it's usually talking about our consciousness or the journey of our soul. So it is actually the soul at rest. I believe that in this case that the ark is equivalent to the mind, right? And that the flood waters, you realize that this is the first baptism? You realize that this is the first baptism? The flood waters is baptism of the soul, immersing into the body of water and becoming one with it. Noah's ark is the first baptism. Not baptism of the flesh, because guess what? Baptism of the flesh is all ritual and symbolic. Paul said, be ye transformed by the renewing of what? The flesh? No, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. All of these rituals and dogmas that the church has put on the people, it's all symbolic. It is not actually going and bathing in the river Jordan, in the Jordan River, that actually brings you to a higher state of consciousness. That ain't gonna do it, family. It is not drinking grape juice on Sunday that will bring you to a higher consciousness. It is not eating crackers and wafers on Sunday that will bring you closer to God. All of that is symbolic ritual of something that's supposed to be transpiring within. Has nothing to do with your garb, what you're wearing. All of those become burdens and actually keep us away from source. People look, I can't do all of that. I got to do this. I got to tithe. I got to do, you want me to do this? And then I got to do that. And then I got to do this. And then I got to give this. And I got to, man, forget that. They're unnecessary burdens. Now, if you need rituals to remember, then just remember that that is the purpose of the ritual. Okay? Bruce Lee said the purpose of technique is to have no technique. So what he means by that is that you practice something until it no longer needs your thought to unfold. So you work for Steph Curry, right? You work on your dribbling drills, and you work on your shooting. You do that ritualistically until that thing requires no thought. It has become part of who you are. It has become automatic. It has become habit. But we've got so caught up on the rituals that we forgot the true meaning of them and why they exist. This story is a baptism of the consciousness or our mind. It's the first baptism, and it is the most important baptism. All right? So, and God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of thoughts of his heart was only evil continuously. So, how does this verse end? As a man thinketh blank, so is he. As a man thinketh blank, so is he. What is the blank? What is a blank? As a man thinketh in his heart. So hold up. The heart thinks? Yes, the heart thinks. Now, James Allen's book says, as a man thinketh, so is he, right? It cuts off, as a man thinketh in his heart. The heart is where the treasure is. And going back to Genesis 2, the Garden of Eden actually might be the heart mind. And you want to know why? Because the four rivers could actually represent the four valves of the heart. The four rivers in Genesis 2 might actually represent the four valves of the heart. Okay? That just came to me today. All right? So here in Noah, we're talking about imagination, right? And we were made in God's what? Image or imagination, right? Good, you're doing great, everybody. So 4, okay, we see the number 4, okay? Where else does 4 come up? 4 chambers of the heart, 4 arteries, 4 valves, 4 lobes of the brain, east, west, north, south, 4 directions. You're doing great. Okay. This is just my study, but the fact that you are coming up with these other fours that occur in our lives is great. And I want you to follow those trains of thought. I want you to jump on those trains of thought and see where they lead you. I'm not asking you to get on my train of thought. I want you to follow your train of thought to see where it leads you, and then bring what you find back to the collective. All right? All right? So, all right. So, moving forward. So, and God saw the wickedness of man. Now, we're only, what, 3 generations? Oh, no, we're several generations in now. I think we're 10 generations in. And God saw the wickedness of man, but who is the creator? Who is the supposed creator of man? God. So now we're going to see something very interesting. And it repented. So basically, it is God. And God repented the Lord. Now we have 2 different entities. God repented the Lord. Y'all see that? Verse 6, and it repented the Lord. You wouldn't say, and the Lord repented the Lord, right? We just talked about God in verse 5. So, and God repented the Lord. Does that make sense? And God repented the Lord. So most of us, we use God and Lord as the same thing, as synonyms. The Lord God, God Lord. We use them, but here it is making them 2 distinct things. Because it does not say, and the Lord repented the Lord. It said, and it. And in 5, we were talking about God. So God repented the Lord. So I believe that the Lord is actually the laws, the unbreakable, immutable laws of this universe. Okay. So, and God repented the Lord that he had made man on earth, and it grieved him at his heart. Basically, family, what is this saying? What is it saying? What is it saying? And God repented the Lord that he had made man on earth, and it grieved him at his heart. God is saying, I effed up. God is saying, I effed up. My first round, they already eaten off this tree. Second round, Cain and Abel, he killing his brother. This ain't man's fault. Something in my design caused wickedness to unfold. I got to start all over. Because besides Adam and Eve eating from the tree, one tree, like you don't tell me you just gonna throw away the entire world because somebody ate an apple? Nah, son, that don't resonate with me. And then we have one murder. Lamech also actually killed somebody. So we have 2 murders that we know of. And now we just gonna throw it all away? How many of you all built something and everybody else said it was good, but you saw a flaw in it and you just said, I'm starting all over? How many of you have done that? How many of you done that before? You built something, you painted something, you built something, you cooked something. Everybody else is like, it's all good. And you like, nah, I'm throwing this whole thing away. I'm gonna start all over. My daughter, she likes playing with Legos. I've seen her literally build cities and destroy it just to rebuild it again. And if you really want to see the human nature, just look at children. Children are in a constant phase of destroying and rebuilding, destroying and rebuilding, destroying and rebuilding. You have to be ye childlike, right? Well, what do children do? They don't just build things forever. There's no child that built a Lego set at 5 and just kept that Lego set the same forever. There's not one child in the world who built something with Legos and just said, no, don't touch it. Leave it the way it is. Not one. The children, they build it, then they destroy it only for the joy of being able to build it again. True or false? True or false? We get the opportunity to reprogram and rebuild. Jesus said, I will tear down the temple and do what to it? I will tear down the temple and do what? What did he say? I will tear down the temple and do what? I will rebuild it in 3 days. Church don't need a building fund. We don't need another physical infrastructure. The church needs to rebuild itself from the inside out, not another building to only teach the same exact old messages. A new building does not lead to new levels of consciousness. No more building funds. How about we rebuild from within? How about we teach the scriptures that we've been avoiding teaching? How about we teach the deeper layers of these allegories and stories? Jesus only told in parables, right? Y'all don't need to contribute to one more building fund except for the building fund of yourself. Tied to yourself first. Tied to your temple first. Tied up here. How many personal development classes are you going to extract and reveal your divine nature? How many books are you buying? How many courses are you taking right now? How much are you learning? How much coaching are you getting to rebuild your temple? That's the temple that you need to tithe to. Now, if your church, your physical church, is actually helping you rebuild your temple, then continue to circulate money through it. But don't do that blindly, family. There aren't that many Levites left. Tithing was for the Levites because they took care of the temple. Tithing was for the Levites because they took care of the temple. Ain't that many Levites left. Okay? So you can see that in verse 5, we're talking about thought, that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually, right? And then God is the one who repented. God repented. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast and creepy thing and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. God is literally saying, I effed up. Nobody put it to you like that. God said, I effed up. Okay? God regretful. It's always been blamed on man. But like I said last week, I do not blame my daughter for not knowing multiplication. I would blame myself. I would not even blame her teacher. I would blame myself. If my daughter does not know how to read at the age of 7, if she does not know how to do a certain level of math that she's supposed to be in, I don't blame her. I created her. So she is my responsibility. If something is off, then that's on me. But man has been made the scapegoat based on religion, that it's man's fault. Man was wicked. No, whoever created me designed me in such a way that allowed wickedness or evil or error, sin literally means to miss the mark, or error to still unfold. The universal laws still allow error to unfold. We don't just come out of the womb having mastered universal law, because most of these laws are unseen. Most of these laws are unseen. You want to know what's crazy? Gravity is a physical law, yet you cannot see the law physically. Gravity is a physical law, but you cannot see the law physically. You can only see its effect. So if gravity is one of the most basic laws that we all agree on, imagine all the other laws that are governing this universe that we cannot see. So as a result of not being able to see those laws, guess what? We sin. We make mistakes. We miss the mark because we aren't fully aware of all the laws that exist. Now, as we elevate to levels of mastery, then we are understanding all the laws. And when you truly understand the laws, you can actually use the laws for good. But guess what? There was choice. When you actually understand the law, you still have the choice of whether to use that law for self or you can use it for the greater good. You can be selfish with it or you can be selfless. You still get to choose. I can use a knife to cut somebody, or I can use a knife to cut a piece of bread to share with somebody. This is where free will comes in. Otherwise, we would just be automatons and God would literally be just playing out a play and we could not change the script whatsoever. If there was no free will, we could not change the script. We would just be robots doing what we were programmed to do. That's not how this world is designed. And so as we learn the laws, we keep hitting our head on something consistently. We're like, oh, there must be something happening here that's not allowing me to break through. There's probably a law that I need to understand. Oh, I see the law now. Now I'm able to get over this. Because guess what? Laws transcend each other. The law of aerodynamics transcends the law of gravity. The law of aerodynamics transcends the law of gravity. It says that if you do this, this, and this, you can put a multi-ton airplane in the air, even though gravity says that that multi-ton thing is supposed to fall straight down to the ground. But again, these laws are invisible forces. The universe or the world, and this is scripture, is made of unseen things. Things that are seen are made of things that are unseen. All right. So moving forward. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Why Noah? Why Noah? Not sure. Okay. Not clear. Right. And these are the generations of Noah. Remember, they keep using generations, and we talk about generational wealth. We also talked about the different generations of the iPhone. When a generation comes, a generation is supposed to what? It's supposed to be improving. The iPhone 13 is supposed to be better than the iPhone 12, right? Generations are supposed to improve. So listen to me very carefully. I don't want any of you to ever have descendants. I don't want any of you to have descendants. We are all meant to have ascendants, not descendants. Descend means to go down. It means that each generation is getting worse and worse and worse. And that is a universal law. It's called entropy. It is that if you don't do anything, things tend to get worse. This is why a building left untouched for 50 years will decay. Okay? We are all meant to have ascendants, not descendants. Okay? So these are the generations of Noah. Noah was just a man and perfect in his generation. And Noah walked with God. Okay, what does that mean to walk with God? Okay. All right. And Noah's three sons were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Okay, this is a repeat of verse 532. Now, who decoded these names? How many of you decoded these names? How many of you decoded these names? I know some of you are like, Julian, I don't want to go and look at all these name definitions and all that. I don't want to do that extra work. This is where the real work is. This is where how you decode stuff, family. See, all these people out here talking about they read the Bible. They read the surface of the Bible. There's a difference between reading the Bible and understanding the Bible. Now, I will say that that first read of the Bible is really eye-opening. That first read of the Bible is really eye-opening because one, you start to see scriptures that they don't teach on Sunday. And I think that first read of the Bible does open you up. But just reading the Bible's words and saying I did it is not enough, family. Okay, so now we get into the name. So we see Shem means breath. fame, conscious knowledge of the whole creation, or renown. Ham means hot, protective wall, hot like with anger, protective wall or surrounding. And Japheth means formless expansion, bigger growth, extension or expansion. Okay, so these are the definitions that I was able to pull, right? These are the meanings of Noah's son's name. So we know that these meanings are going to have some impact on this story. No name of a place or person in the Bible is insignificant. Is insignificant. Okay? So let's just keep those names in mind. So, and Noah begat 3 sons, okay? And then verse 11, and the earth was also corrupt. Wait a second. So man is corrupt, and now the earth itself is corrupt too. But if we remember what we talked about, the earth represents, what does the earth represent? What does the earth represent? The conscious mind. The conscious mind. Okay? Before God, and the earth was filled with violence. Okay? So we see a distinction between earth and man here, right? And the earth was corrupt and it was filled with violence. And our reptilian brain, right? Our reptilian brain was initially fight or flight. It was a survivalist brain. Okay. And so some of us have grown out of that, but guess what? There's still wars. There's still people killing each other today, but some of us are elevated beyond the impulse to just kill somebody else for not agreeing with us or out of fear, right? So if we think about this as a narrative, the brain development of our human development of our mind, yeah, initially we were survivalists. Okay? And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon earth. Okay? So again, flesh is named as the cause, and what does flesh represent? Flesh represents the 5 senses. Flesh represents the 5 senses. The 5 senses cause us to be limited, right? They cause us to be limited, but God is what? Unlimited. So there's this struggle between an unlimited thing trying to dwell inside a limited thing. There's a struggle between an unlimited thing trying to dwell within physical limitations. There's a struggle there. Okay? And so God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh. Okay? So now we see the target is flesh. Flesh has been identified as the cause. But it's not man's fault that it was given flesh. Who gave man flesh? So God is saying that this element of my creation called flesh, right, is actually what is causing all of this. This element of my creation process, which is flesh, which I thought was necessary for this unfoldment, right, and for this experience, is actually corrupting my pure creation. Y'all with me? So again, this is not man's fault. This is God's design. Okay? So, and God said unto, and then verse 14, make thee an ark of gopher wood. Okay? Why gopher wood? I'm not sure. Now, this is really was crazy. Rooms shalt thou make in the ark, and shalt pitch it within and without with pitch. What comes up for you when you hear this scripture? Make thee an ark of gopher wood. Rooms. Thou shalt make in the ark and shalt pitch it within and without with pitch. What two scriptures come up for you when you see this? Jesus said, my Father's house has many what, family? Jesus said, my Father's house has many what? Thank you, Angie. My Father's mansion and my Father's house has many rooms. What? Here we have rooms again, or actually in advance of that. So could Jesus and Moses actually be talking about the same thing? Could Jesus and Moses actually be talking about the same thing, just at different times? And then thou shalt pitch it within and without. As above, so below, as within, so without. It's not what goes in a man's mouth that defiles him. It is what comes out of his mouth that defiles him. What is within you must manifest itself outwardly. Okay? So now we go into verse 15, and this is the fashion which thou shalt make it of, and the length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, the breadth of it 50 cubits, and the height of it 30 cubits. Now, what is a cubit, y'all? What is a cubit? What is a cubit? 18 inches. Thank you. It's called research. It's called Google, y'all. For those of you on IG or any social media platform, you can join us on Zoom so that you can see my notes here. Just go to jointruthseekers.com. Go to jointruthseekers.com. Words, what's going on, family? Marcus, what's going on, family? It's good to see you. If my brothers, my brothers. Okay. So what I decided to do, y'all, is I decided to draw this thing out. And as you can see in the right, this is what it would look like. 450 feet across, right? 75 feet in width, 450 feet long, 75 feet in width, and 45 feet in height. All right. So look at this football field. This would be the ark, family. This would be the ark. It's about half a football field. Half a football field. All right. Now let me show you this. They've actually made a museum called the Ark Encounter, and they tried to make a real life-size replica of the ark. And that's what they said it would look like. What's going on, Nesby? That's what they said it would look like. Okay. So just ask yourself, can three men build that? Can three men build that? Yes or no? Just 3 men build that. Let me know what your thoughts are. Can 3 men build that? They can carry all those trees, they can carve them, they can cut them down, they can fashion them together, they can lift them up. 4 men. If they were giants, perhaps. It didn't say that Noah was a giant, though, correct? There were giants. It didn't say Noah was a giant or that his sons were giants. With God's help, possibly. Okay. Still don't know how the pyramids were built, right? So it's possible. But according to the narrative and the imagery, the pyramids had a lot of people helping. Okay. Cool. So just something to consider. Something to consider. All right. So moving forward, and the window shalt thou make to the ark in a cubit. So literally, this ark was enclosed, and all there was a 18-inch by 18-inch window at the top. That's it. That's it. So this ark, what was the lighting like in the ark, family? What was the lighting like in the ark? Darkness. Darkness. So you telling me that we're feeding animals in darkness? You telling me that we are getting rid of their excretion in darkness? We are organizing them, perhaps doing some medical work on them in darkness. Is that what's going on here? So you have all 1 million species of animals on this ark from all over the world. Somehow they migrated from all these places. Somehow you got a koala bear all the way over into Northern Africa in the Middle East. Somehow it just got there. Koala bear, I don't know, maybe it flew on a pelican's back. I don't know. Somehow it got there, right? Koala bear crawled across the Bering Strait, right? That part. And then they were in darkness for 150 days. There not only was there enough space for these million species, but also enough space for all the food that they were going to need, that food would not, refrigeration for that food, so that it would not spoil, and then ways to get rid of their poop and clean up after their pee and urine for about 6 months. That's a nasty situation, family. And it was just 8 people. 8 people serving 1 million species, handling all this. Okay? Just something to think about for those who are literalists. Now, in zoos, what do they keep? What's another name for rooms in zoos, y'all? Y'all, this is gonna blow your mind. What's another name for room in zoos? Or what's another name for a small room for a human being in a jail? A cell, family. And what's the other meaning of a cell? A cell is a small biological entity within our bodies. Our body is made up of cells. Just a thought. Just a thought. Okay? So Jesus said, my Father's house has many rooms, right? And what this led me to, family, and remember, I'm sharing my Bible study with you. You can run with it wherever you decide. I saw many different parallels between Noah and Jesus. This word rooms triggered it for me. It triggered it for me. Anybody think of any of the parallels between Moses and Jesus? Can anybody think of the parallels between Moses and Jesus? I think they were talking about the same thing. Watch this, family. So real quick, the number 7 came up many times, right? So here's a number study of 7. All the ways that 7 I found appeared in the Bible, okay? Also, did you know that the story of Gilgamesh parallels the story of Noah's Ark? That this story has been told over and over and over through different societies and civilizations. The story of Gilgamesh would literally be 700 years older than the story of Noah. Okay, so these same stories are told over and over and over again. Yet there's no archaeological evidence of a worldwide flood. There's been floods in certain regions, but there's no archaeological evidence of a global flood, family. None. So watch this. Watch this. Noah rested. Oh, actually, y'all just hit me up with a new one. Gee, who said that? Who said that? The rains lasted for how many days? Rains lasted for how many days, family? 40 days and 40 nights. How many days did Jesus fast, y'all? Jesus fasted. Huh? Woo! that one just came to me. For 40 days and 40 nights. This is like the same story told in different ways. Watch this. Noah rested during the flood. When the disciples were on a boat in a storm, what was Jesus doing, family? Noah rested during the flood. Noah's name means rest. What was Jesus doing in the midst of the storm when he was on the boat with the disciples? This dude was sleeping in the hole. He was sleeping in the boat. Noah floated on water. What did Jesus do? Jesus walked on water. And you want to know what that means? To walk on water, if water is the subconscious mind, Jesus had mastered the subconscious mind. That's what it means to walk on water. He mastered the subconscious mind, so much so that he could walk on it without falling into it. Noah adhered to God's crazy command to build a boat in faith. And when the rains came, it raised up that boat. Jesus adhered to God's crazy command regarding the crucifixion, right? Or to be raised up and elevated on the cross. Noah built a boat or ark of wood. What was Jesus' job, y'all? What was Jesus' profession, y'all? What was Jesus' profession? This Negus, Negus, a king in Ethiopia, was a carpenter. Was a carpenter. Come on, y'all. Genesis 6:9, Noah was a just man, perfect in his generation, and walked with God and was righteous. What was Jesus? Perfect in his generation, sinless, walked with God and righteous. Genesis 6:14, room shalt thou make in thy ark. Jesus said, my Father's house has many rooms. Noah, the earth was baptized by water. What was Jesus supposed to baptize with, according to John? What was Jesus supposed to baptize with, according to John? With fire. Okay. Both were calling for repentance. Actually, real quick, y'all, guess what? Noah doesn't say one word in this entire story. Y'all see Noah say any word in the entire story? Noah didn't say nothing. No conversation. Other characters had conversation with the Lord or God. Noah didn't say not one word. So that's just interesting, right? So both were about calling for repentance, right? In Noah's story, God stops the rains or the floods by commanding the wind. What does Jesus do when the disciples are in the boat and there's a storm? Jesus commands the what? Jesus commands the what? The wind. The wind, which then stills the water. And then the one we just came up with, it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. Jesus fasted 40 days, 40 nights. So what I got from this, y'all, is that many of the stories in the Old Testament, whoever wrote the New Testament tried to weave many of the stories in the Old Testament into one character named Jesus. Whoever wrote the New Testament tried to weave as many of the stories as possible in the Old Testament into the singular story of Jesus. Because Jesus is also known as the second what? The second Adam. Jesus is also known as the Lion of who? The Lion of David. Jesus also went to Egypt like who? Like Moses. They tried to weave all of the stories in the Old Testament that were being told and programmed into people's consciousness into one singular story of a person named Jesus. You see Jesus in Joseph's story. You'll see Jesus in You'll see Jesus in Job's story. You'll see Jesus in Adam's story. You'll see Jesus in Noah's story. You'll see Jesus in Moses' story. Same thing. Parallel. We could do this analysis for every patriarch in the Bible. So that's probably a study that we'll do down in the future. Okay. And we'll uncover what that actually means. So now we're in this dark arc. We're in this dark arc. Where is the darkest part of your body, family? Where is the darkest part of your body? Where did God create from? First verse in Genesis. Where did God create from? Where did God create from? First verse in Genesis. Let's just go there. While we're here, since it's right around the corner, let's just go there. Where did God create from in the first verse? Boom, boom. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. Darkness. So now all of a sudden we're in an arc that is 100%, with the exception of ability to access light from above, we're in an arc that is now dark. Okay? So darkness is where creation begins, not where it ends. Religion will tell you that darkness is where creation ends. Darkness is where creation begins, not where it ends. It's where it begins. In the womb of a woman is darkness. When a seed has to go into the soil, there's darkness. When a photo has to get developed, it's in darkness. So you'll see later in chapter 7, when they closed the door, it said Noah was shut in. Noah and his family were shut in. We have to go into the closet. Where does Jesus tell you to go to pray? Where does Jesus tell you to go to pray, family? In your closet. In your closet. And what's the light like in your closet? What's the light like in your closet? It's dark. It's dark. I know some of y'all got walk-in closets and all that stuff. I know some of y'all out here balling, okay? But for most closets like this one, it's dark inside there right now. All right? I'm having fun right now. Y'all having fun? Y'all having fun? I am. I'm a bibliophile, y'all. I'm a bibliophile. So I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. All right? So now we got this little window for this big old arc, right? And hear this. And finish it above, and the door of the ark, verse 16, and the door of the ark thou shalt set in the side thereof, with lower, second, and third stories thou shalt make it. What are the lower, second, and third stories of the mind? What are the lower, second, and third stories of the mind? Come on, give it to me. I know y'all know it. What's the lower, second, and third stories of the mind? Subconscious, conscious, superconscious. Subconscious, conscious, superconscious. You think that's a coincidence? Okay. So, verse 17, we're almost there. And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under the heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. Okay. When you are overcome with emotion or joy, what do we call that? When you have a divine insight, what is it called? It's called a revelation or an epiphany. It's just an overflow. So God is saying, even I do bring a flood of waters upon the earth. When you are divinely inspired, it is like a flood of emotion, a flood of inspiration, a flood of love, a flood of overwhelm that comes over you. That is not based on the five senses. You know that that is coming from on high. You know that it's coming from on high. I've literally been driving and had that flood come over me and just bursted out in tears, feeling overjoyed, over loved, over happy. Every single positive word you could think of, like it's just like a flood. And it wasn't caused by anything that happened in the world, according to my five senses. It just occurred. How many ever had an experience like that? How many ever had an experience like that? Where you were just flooded with God's love. See, everybody perceives this flood as a bad thing. Anytime the church teaches you something, or religion teaches you something, just consider that it might be the opposite. Anytime religion teaches you something, I want you to consider that it might be the opposite. Now, it may not be the opposite, but I just want you to consider it so that you can add some elasticity to your mind, that your mind can actually stretch and even consider that what they are telling you may not be true, that you have the openness to receive another new perspective on what has been taught. The same is true for money. They say you need to work hard for money. No, your money needs to work hard for you. Right? They say it's lonely at the top when it comes to success. No, in fact, the only people who achieve success are people who move in groups. Everything that people or the world has taught you when it comes to the senses is usually the opposite. Okay? So what if the flood is actually a good thing, family? Okay? So now, verse 18, but with thee I will establish my covenant, and thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons and thy wife, and thy sons' wives and thee. Right? So now we have ark and covenant 5 words apart. So later on, we're going to explore the ark of the covenant. We're not going to go into it now, but just it's right there. This seems to be a covenant. So now everything and of everything living, thing of all flesh, 2 or every sort, thou shalt bring into the ark and keep them alive with thee, and they shall be male and female. So how do you get rid of the flesh, y'all? Without committing suicide, how do you get rid of the flesh? How do you get beyond the flesh? It's in Noah's name, family. It's in Noah's name. You rest, or you go into a meditative state. You go into darkness. You close your eyes. You release the body. That's how you get rid of the flesh. I would never kill my creation. As a parent, I would never kill my creation. As a parent, imagine a godfather, a father, a great-grandfather of a family tree saying, I created this, this is a mess, I'm gonna kill all y'all. Just imagine that. A great-grandfather, a great-great-grandfather, 2 greats, has 3 generations. Those generations are messed up. And it knows that they are messed up because of things that he put in place. You think a great-great-grandfather would go around and kill all of its offspring? You think a great-great-grandfather would go kill all of its offspring for a mistake that it made? Doesn't even make sense. As above, so below. Don't make sense below. Definitely don't make sense above. So I said that this is a story of meditation, right? And so now we are commanded to go get everything, living thing of all flesh, 2 of every sort, thou shalt bring into the ark to keep them alive with thee. Thou shalt be male and female. Of fowls after their of fowls after their kind, and of cattle after their kind, of every creeping thing of the earth after its kind, 2 of every sort shall come unto thee to keep them alive. And why? Why? Is this talking about bringing a male sheep and a male and a female sheep together? A male and a female bird? Is this talking about doing that? No. This is where duality comes back in. Because in order for a battery to stay alive, what does it need? In order for battery to stay alive, what does it need? It needs a positive and negative charge. It needs both. It can't just have a positive charge. It can't just have a negative charge. It actually needs both. So, and take thou unto thee of all food that is eaten, and thou shalt gather into thee, and thou shalt be for food for thee and for them. Thus did Noah according to all that God commanded him, so did he. So listen to me, y'all. Noah is about to go into, or the mind or consciousness is about to go into a meditative space called this ark. And we are supposed to bring all of our animalistic thoughts into that ark, both the positive side of them and the negative side of them. We're supposed to bring them into that ark. We're supposed to go into a place of darkness, and we're supposed to have dominion over these animalistic thoughts and urges that the flesh cause until we can come to a full place, till the soul can come back to a place of rest. Woo! Because in the next chapter, next week, we are bringing in clean and unclean. So it's saying, bring in that negativity from your life, bring in that positivity of your life, but go into that place of rest and stillness. Accept it all. Bring it all in. We're not leaving anything out. Bring it all in. It all is making up who you are. Bring it all in. Don't just take the good, because there's some people who are on the think happy, positive thinking, and they force themselves to think so happy that they try to reject any negativity in their life. And they end up running from negativity, trying to be so happy. And it's a false happiness. It's a false, fake happiness. They're pretending to be happy. Running away from negativity does not make you positive. So this is actually full acceptance through meditation and rest. Coming to a place of rest is full acceptance of all of these animalistic thoughts created by the flesh that we are supposed to bring into this meditative state, and we are supposed to rise above. Because when floodwaters come in, do floodwaters do what to the ark? Floodwaters do what to the ark? They cause the ark to rise above. And the ark was built on what? The ark was built on the conscious mind, but the floodwaters raise it up to the superconscious. The floodwaters in your life will raise you up to a higher level of thinking and seeing and being and doing and having. God wasn't saying, I'm gonna wipe out my creation and start fresh. Said, no, I'm just gonna elevate it to a higher level of thinking. And I'm gonna do that through a meditative state of rest. So now, if we go back to Noah's sons' names, the protective wall is what? The protective wall that Ham represents is what? It represents the protective wall of the ark. Okay? And when God comes back comes back and remembers Noah, breathes breath back into creation. And Japheth is then from there the expansion that comes out of that awareness. Japheth is the expansion that comes out of that new state of awareness. How y'all feeling? How y'all feeling? Oh my goodness. All right, so we got chapter 7 next week. Chapter 7 goes into the story more. Actually, I need you to read 7 and 8 for next week. 7 and 8 is homework. Y'all ever read Noah's Ark like that before? Y'all ever read Noah's Ark like that before? So these are the offspring. The offspring is new breath, new life, right? The offspring is expansion, extension. And the protective wall that we had to create was the ark itself. So that is that. That is that. Deep breath. Deep breath. Oh my goodness. Dear Mother, Father God, we are so grateful for these divine downloads and revelations. May every person that was here today be blessed and built up and raised up by this message. We ask for deeper understanding. We ask for the parts that resonate and the parts that don't. And we ask for new understanding where there is still gray area and confusion. We are seekers. We just want to know you. We just want to be in alignment with you and be lock in step. We want to be as Noah was. We want to be perfect in your sight. We want to walk with you every single day of our lives. And this process of metaphysical Bible study is one of many different ways that we all seek to do that. We are grateful for these stories and these narratives and these allegories and these parables and the deeper truths that are hidden within them. We know that all eyes can't see them and all ears can't hear them. Even Jesus' own disciples did not understand what he was saying. And we believe that we now have the level of consciousness to be able to decode and crack these stories so that we can use them for our own elevation and expansion and renewal and cleansing and rebirth. May we control and overcome the animalistic thoughts of the flesh that limit us. We know that you are an unlimited entity, an unlimited energy, an unlimited source that is trying to pour itself and express itself through these limited physical bodies. And may we learn how to make oil and water, flesh and spirit work together as one, so that the sons of God and the daughters of men may create and multiply in a way that is fruitful, in a way that is good for everyone involved, that we are able to bring heaven on earth through our own lives and our own walks. May we all learn to enter into a meditative state as Noah represents. May meditation become a practice for all of us, however we decide to do that, whether it's sitting still with your hands crossed, whether it's prayer, however you meditate. We ask that we can still the animalistic thoughts that always running around our minds, and that in that stillness, we can wait patiently for your voice saying when to go and what to do and where to go. We thank you for the obedience that Noah had to build the ark, which is basically taking out time to just be still. We thank you for the obedience that is required to just be still and know that you are God. We know that you would never throw us out. We know that you would never set us aside. We know that we do sin, which means to miss the mark, We know that we do err as we are seeking to understand these invisible universal laws, but know that we are seeking to understand. And in that seeking, we will make mistakes. We know that your loving spirit will continue to guide us until we do understand and we've mastered them. And we are able to walk on water or master the subconscious mind and all this full experience called life as we know it. With that, we love you and thank you with all of our hearts, minds, and souls. Ashe, amen. And so it is. Homework. Decode chapter 7 and 8, which means read them 3 times, come up with your own insights, takeaways, look at the Hebrew definitions of all the names, places, words, right? Document your questions, things that don't make sense, pray on those things, meditate on those things, see if you can get clarity for yourself and bring those to this space, shared space that we have together called Metaphysical Bible Study next Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. In the Facebook group, please document your greatest takeaways or insights. Go over there right now. Go over there right now. I'm about to paste it in chat. Go ahead and share what your greatest takeaway was. Facebook.com/groups slash metaphysical. Go ahead and type in, do this for yourself and for the community. Go to the Facebook group right now. I will let you in. I will let you in right now. And go ahead and type in your greatest takeaway from this particular Metaphysical Bible Study. For those of you who are on social media, go to jointruthseekers.com. That's jointruthseekers.com. And you will get the Zoom link for next week so that you can see my notes and follow along. With that, I want to say thank you for you showing up, for you just seeking truth. This has been a blessed experience for me. We are just at the beginning. We are still in Genesis, family, and so we have a lot further to go. But this book, Genesis, sets the foundation for many of the things that we're going to decode and uncover together. So with that, I lift you all up. Love you. Wish you the best on your journey to be in oneness with your source, whatever you call it, however you define it, and anything that I can do to assist in your alignment with whatever you call God, I'm happy to help. All right. Have a great one, everybody. Again, for social media folks, to be here next week, go to jointruthseekers.com, jointruthseekers.com. And for those who are already in Zoom, go to the Facebook group right now and document your greatest insights and takeaways from today's study. All right. Love y'all and catch you later. Peace, everybody. All right, IG. Thank you for being here. Peace. Go to jointruthseekers.com so you don't miss next week. Jointruthseekers.com. It's pinned at the top. Go there and I will see you next week. Peace.